And welcome back to SWBA Today. This is your host, Rico. And in today's show, we're going to be looking at the SWBA scoreboard. We're going to be looking at the main storyline from yesterday. And then we're also going to be looking at the SWBA standings. We're going to be reflecting on the Eastern and the Western Conference, and really some of the key takeaways as the SWBA playoffs approach. And so let's go ahead and jump into the scoreboard and just look at the main storyline from yesterday. And so there were 8 games in total, and I think that the biggest storyline here was the Miami Heat and the Golden State Warriors game. You had the Miami Heat win this one 112-86. And there was a lot, just kind of noise around this game. Obviously, with the Golden State Warriors, you have Jimmy Butler returning back to Miami. And Miami gets, round one here against Jimmy Butler, so to speak. And, I just think that the bottom line here is that the Golden State Warriors really struggled. You had several different players that only had 2 points at halftime. So it looks like that all 5 Golden State starters actually only had 2 points at half. And so just not a good game for the Golden State Warriors. And they just really never led in this game as well. And so this was a tough loss for the Golden State Warriors. And so also, too, you just see quickly here with the 8 games that took place in this one. We've been talking about the Detroit Pistons. They win against the Spurs 122-96. We've been talking about just how well the Pistons have done. They're now over 40 games, and they're comfortably in the 6th spot in the SWBA Eastern Conference standings. And then the Magic, look, they've been surging, especially ever since they got Franz Wagner back. And then you also got Banchero. Like, both of those players have played very well together. So 111-104, they win that game. And really, they were on a good, just start to the season until the injuries kind of hit them. Next up, you got the Knicks and the Mavs. And so, look, the Knicks take care of business 128-113, but the Mavs, as tough as this season has been, they still have a chance to sneak into that play-in situation. They're actually right behind the Phoenix Suns. And so the Atlanta Hawks, look, they've been one of the hottest teams in the SWBA Eastern Conference. They lose to the Rockets. But look, the Rockets, this is a very good team. We're going to talk about them in the conference standings here in a second. But they get right back on track with the win here, 121-114. And then you got the Grizzlies and the Jazz. And so, look, the Grizzlies all over the Utah Jazz. And I think that, look, the Utah Jazz, they are a team that is very much rebuilding. I like the fact that they do have just tons of minutes here for the younger guys, but this is all about the Memphis Grizzlies and really maximizing this opportunity. I still think that the biggest issue with them is they do not have Ja Morant. And so until they get Ja Morant, this is a team that just, I don't think it's going to scare too many people, but they win 140 to 103. And so next, let's go ahead and just jump over in here to the standings and just taking a look at that and just looking at the key takeaways here. And so starting with the Eastern Conference, look, the Cavs, I know that they're on top of the Eastern Conference right now. They did go through that 4-game losing streak. They've won a couple here as of late, but still, I think it comes down to the Cavs and just being healthy. And I don't know if I'm necessarily sold on the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell, he's always had some great seasons, just going back to his time in Utah, but just never really put it together in the postseason. And I know they were on an okay run here this last year, but I don't know if I just believe too much in the Cleveland Cavaliers, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, injuries, rhythm and things like that. We'll see where the Cleveland Cavaliers are once we move a little bit closer here. The Celtics, look, we're still trying to figure out what is going to happen to Jason Tatum. I talked about this on yesterday's show. It was the first time that the team had actually played together as far as the starters there in a month. And so hopefully they need to get some rhythm here going into the playoffs, but I'm still betting, with the Celtics. And so I'm not going to bet against them. I think that, look, they're experienced. They're a tough unit. I don't think it's a team you want to see. The Knicks, I think it's all about getting Jalen Brunson back. I don't like the fact that they've had some bad losses out there, but let's see what happens down the stretch. Pacers, they might be one of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference right now, and you love that. And I think with Tyrese Halliburton, I'm starting to see a little bit of what he did last season with the consecutive double-doubles and things like that. So he's playing at a high level. Let's see if he can stay on the court. The Bucks, look, they got dealt a tough blow because as we're recording this podcast, this just came out just a little while ago. It looks like that Dame Lillard is going to be out indefinitely. And it looks like, man, he's dealing with the same thing that really took Wemby out this season as well. So Victor Wembanyama, so very scary situation there with Dame Lillard. So hopefully, he's able to come back at some point. But right now, he is out indefinitely. And then with the Pistons, we just talked about them being in sixth place. You see that they're very comfortable right now. I don't think that the Hawks are going to catch them. It would just take like just a complete I would say just down take for the Pistons here and just, some crazy situations. But I think that the Pistons are going to be locked in at the sixth spot. And then, with Atlanta talking about just how hot they've been, they just lost to the Houston Rockets. But still, I mean, it's a scary team. I think that it's a young team. They, obviously don't have too many fears there. You do have a player in Trae Young that has taken this team to the Eastern Conference finals there in the SWBA. And so, look, he can definitely get some of that magic here down the stretch. And speaking of the magic, they are right behind the Atlanta Hawks here at eighth. And I just talked about them getting healthy again. And so that's huge. And then you have the Bulls and you have the Heat. And so the Heat, look, they have really struggled. I know they had a good game here against the Golden State Warriors, but they have not been the same since Jimmy Butler has exited that building. And then with the Chicago Bulls, might be one of their hotter teams right now in all of basketball. 8 out of their last 2. And so that's in 10 games of play. They just finished a road trip in which they went 4-2 there. And so Chicago Bulls, man, scrappy, playing hard, tough backcourt with Kobe White and Josh Giddey. It's a team that, look, man, they might shake some things up, but we'll see what happens there. And then shifting focus here and looking at the Western Conference here really quickly. And so with the OKC Thunder, look, I think it's a team that it's just their division to really lose. I think maybe they might be poised to get to the SWBA finals. We'll see what happens with the Rockets. Look, they are a young team. They have a coach that has a ton of experience. The question about them now is, can they take it to the next level once the postseason starts? And so, look, the Rockets, this is another one of those teams that maybe they're playing with house money. They could be a team maybe that makes some noise. We'll see. I know a lot of experts out there feel like that's a team maybe you want to see because of the inexperience. And so next up, the Nuggets. And so the Nuggets have really never addressed what the main issue is with them, and that is the bench. They had one of the most elite bench units really when they won their championship, and it just hasn't been the same since they lost Bruce Brown. They lost, I think it's Jeff Green and all these guys off the bench. It just has not been the same. And then they don't have KCP anymore. This team, look, they do have an MVP candidate, maybe the MVP in Jokic, but I'm just not sure if this Denver Nuggets team is going to have a punch off the bench, and you need to have that in the playoffs. And so with the Grizzlies, I said it's all about Ja Morant. He's got to be healthy. If he's healthy, then we can have a discussion about them. But until then, I just wouldn't take Memphis that serious there. And then next up with the Lakers, look, they do have a guy that has been a champion here. And it's all about getting him to the postseason. And, the rest is going to work out for the Lakers. And so LeBron would have the days in between games and stuff like that. But they just don't have enough as far as just they need more pieces. And I think that even if they would have made that deal for Mark Williams, I think that this is a team that still badly needs more front court help. And that's where the real issue is going to be with the Lakers, because I just think that going back and forth between LeBron and Luka, even though Luka can get you there, I mean, I think it's going to be tough. Can they put it together, for a month and just really get themselves in position to get to the finals? Maybe, but there's going to have to be a lot of things that really play, into just their favor for the Lakers to advance. And with the Golden State Warriors, always going to be scary because you have, the best shooter right now in basketball in Steph Curry. And so what he can do. Jimmy Butler has shown that he can fit here. And then also too, Draymond Green has kind of turned back the hands of time with the way that he's been defending and rebounding and everything else. But the Golden State Warriors, it's all about just hanging in there, staying pace right now. Remember the tiebreakers and how that's going to go down with the Clippers and Timberwolves. They do have a tougher schedule, but they do own those tiebreakers. And so the Clippers good games from Kawhi Leonard. He's got to stay healthy for them to have a chance. The Timberwolves, they have been very much up and down. This has not been a good showing for the Timberwolves. I don't think that they've really recovered since trading Karl Anthony Towns. And I would say that the Knicks definitely won that trade. And it's all about, just Julius Randle and his ability to be out there along with Devin Gento. I think he's got to stay out there too. And so I don't necessarily trust that they're going to be maybe, right as far as just playing at a good level once the SWBA playoffs kind of start. But we'll see what happens. You do have maybe one of the best players in SWBA in Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. Some would say maybe he's in the MVP race at times, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to advance you. The Kings have been so up and down, and I just think that the trade to get Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, essentially they just ran it back. That's what Chicago had. And you just subtract that you don't have a point guard as well. So don't necessarily trust the Kings. And then with the Suns, look, they are surging. Once again, you have a NBA champion in Kevin Durant, but this is a team that is top heavy. I just feel like they're just like the Lakers. They're top heavy. They don't have they don't have many other pieces that go along with them. And so if anybody goes down, has a bad night, that could be maybe the end for the Suns. And so we'll see what happens. Currently, they're in a play-in situation right now. And so, that is a team that maybe they could make some serious noise here. And so anyway, let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking about all of this. And just to note as well, in spot 11, you have the Dallas Mavericks, which have won 35 games as well, and they did get Anthony Davis back. So maybe they might surge up the standings a little bit too. So let me know what your takeaways are from the Eastern and the Western Conference standings here. Who do you think is poised to make some noise in either division? And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say here, see the game and be the game. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.